Next, I'm going to start shading the face. And before I do that, I'm going to map out just some general darker areas. I'm going to decide on the basic light source, and I'm going to keep it simple by just having it maybe a straight on, maybe a little slightly from the top. So the light will be hitting here, maybe a little bit of shadow here. Under the eyebrows, we'll have a little bit of shadow. I'm not sure if you can see these lines I'm drawing, but they're just general guidelines for me. Sometimes I get carried away, especially if you're not using reference. When you start shading, you start to get carried away with the shading, and you forget where the light source is. So just having really light guidelines can be a big help. I'm going to have a little shadow under the nose here, and under the mouth, bottom lip here. It's going to be, of course, a little bit under the chin. Under the neck we'll have a slight shadow, and cheekbones. So this just helps me remember that I've got light coming from the top and front, and now I can start shading. And at one point I'd like to mention, I've taken this picture to the mirror quite a number of times to make sure I've gotten the proportions right. And each time I brought it in front of the mirror, there were a few little points that kind of bothered me, and I was able to fix it, and now I'm pretty happy with the final sketch. And I highly recommend that you do the same thing. Just flash in front of a mirror, and whatever looks a little bit off, take a closer look, and you'll probably find out what's wrong with your picture. Okay, so next up is shading. I'm going to choose an interesting area. I think everyone likes the eyes, so I'm going to show you how I shade this place. And first of all, I'm using an H pencil, because I'm going to start with the lighter values. I hope you can see I'm doing each individual stroke very, very lightly, and I'm filling the gaps between each stroke that I do. And I'm slowly building a very, very, very light value here. It's important that your pencil is sharp when you do this. Otherwise, you're not going to get into the little the dents in the paper. And you want to hold your pencil very, very lightly. I'm holding it like this. Just ever so slightly move your hand back and forth. So that's the first, the very first layer. And I'm going to zoom out a little bit. That's what it looks like. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over the rest of the face and do the same thing and add a very light value to all the main portions that need this same mid-tone. So when you start getting impatient with this tedious task, your lines start getting more messy and it won't look as smooth. So you're just going to have to stick with it. Don't give up. Don't lose patience. Just keep adding that tone lightly. And you'll get there. So here is the first layer of shading finished. And it looks quite smooth. If you bring it a little closer, if you take a closer look, you can see that it's not the same as when you smudge. But I'm pretty happy with this. And as you add more layers and you add more value to the picture, it's going to look less, you won't see these lines as much. It'll look more smooth as you complete the picture. Okay, now I'm going to move on to the second layer shading, and I'm going to use a B pencil now. And maybe I'll start with the same area over here around the eye. So it's the same technique. You're just going to go really lightly. Make sure your pencil's sharp. And don't get carried away. Now this whole area is not going to be B. It's just around the folds of the eyes and just a few portions here and there. So if you go over everywhere you just did, it's going to lose some of its depth. And it's going to change the whole lighting of your scene as well. It's going to look like the light's very harsh. So don't get carried away. Keep in mind how strong the light is. And just slowly build up the value. You can change the angle of your strokes. Just make sure that they're very tight. Don't want to have huge gaps in between each stroke. Just keep it very together. Okay, now I'm going to just do the rest of the face with and slowly darken the values around the nose, around the hair, underneath the mouth, the sides of the face, etc. So you can build up these tones, go over it a couple times. What you can do is do the strokes one way and then come over it again from a different direction. I think this is called cross hatching, and it helps you get a nice even tone. Maybe there are a few gaps that I've left here and here and here. If I come back again, you can fill up those gaps nicely. So maybe you left a few lines and you're a little too fast in your first go. You can go over again from a slightly different angle and fill up those gaps. Whatever is comfortable for you. Make sure your pencil's sharp. I'm actually going to sharpen my pencil now. As you can see right here underneath the face on the neck, it's a little, the shading isn't so even, so I'm just going to go over again, kind of cross hatch. Most of my strokes are going this way, so I'm going to go again and just go at it from a different angle. And just the areas that are slightly lighter or the uneven, I'm going to go over again. Try to get a nice even tone here. Right here as well. So those are the steps I take to shade and add value to skin. And as you get the hang of this technique, you can be more bold in adding darker values. But if you're just starting out, you may want to add it layer by layer. In the next video, I'll show you how I get my picture to look like this. And if you've enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share it with your friends. Thanks for watching.